I'll give you two theories. And I think I was very certain that one of my two theories is correct. I'm not going to tell you what to do or what to believe. Why? Mr. Tim Cook decided not to comply with the law enforcement officials' request, or, well, during that time, late last year, many newspapers uses the term law enforcement officials. But nowadays, they try to intensify the incident. Nowadays, they use the term U.S. government. I have read pretty much everything I could find about the San Bernardino incident. I have searched for significant amount of videos too. Well, I was flabbergasted when I have found a startling discovery. So, theory number one, Mr. Cook is afraid. Well, for the past several years, he made enormous amounts of mistakes, and he can't afford another one. He can't afford another because Apple is a behemoth. So only one sloppy action can cause like ramifications. So that's my theory number one. What about my theory number two? The theory number two is there was no San Bernardino incident. That particular incident was a hoax. Nothing had happened. I've done my research thoroughly and have found infinity proof or evidence or a preponderance of evidence or smoking gun. One of the kids just lost her mother, but she was smiling and making fun with the story, and there was a little lady, she was crying with no tears, like this word, and it was a horrible acting. You know what? I didn't mean to offend you. I really do. Believe it or not, before I smelled a rat, I went to FBI site. Seriously, I did that. And I was writing some sort of a letter or something to voluntarily help them because I have found something strange. You know, like, before I decided to polarize my theory into two, if you've been doing research long enough about a certain topic, you would get the core fundamental of it. The attacker, Mr. Farouk, the guy has an SUV, he left his computer at his house. When the law enforcement authorities went there and they found that the hard drive was missing, and another reporter said, well, they were planning to, after attack, flee to like hideout or something. It was like, I found like inconsistencies in the whole story. Because, you know what, I can really help. Well, if a phone is locked with the 4 digits like passcode or shit like that, what about the corpse of the attackers? if they like hand me the attacker's computer or like Mac computers, I can use some very simple terminal tweaks to bypass or circumvent the passcode. The guy got the SUV. I mean, and if he was planning to go somewhere else, I mean, after the attack, probably he should have carried the computer or some. You know what? I know it's a controversial thing to say, and I don't want to cause an altercation here, and I didn't mean to offend you. As long as I'm not violating my country's constitution, you know, I do have the right to speak. So what about, well, I'm just a poor psychopath in Thailand, an uneducated man, and he knew about all this. What about Mr. Cook? I think probably he knew it. He knew it. Probably he knew it was a hoax. People started to think probably the two dead bodies were just two dummies at the crime scene. It was like, well, seriously? What if we didn't land on the moon? What if the guy named Edward Snowden, what if he was right? Like Bin Laden is still alive and well in Bahamas, and he's receiving his monthly paycheck, $400,000 as we speak. What if 9/11 is a hoax? Believe it or not, in 2001, I knew at the time, instantaneously after I saw the whole story is about 9/11 on television at the time, I knew it was a hoax. Well, an airplane can bring down the whole building, you know, like that levels of temperature, that intensity of the temperature, the fire, couldn't like, well, melt down the metal structure. And well, for the past 11, 12 years, I think it's, I had many customers and they were pilots, and they told me everything about the Hudson River incident, about the bird strikes, about the 9/11. They said, well, even themselves, well, they can't hit that building like precisely, because in most cases we do automatic navigation, it's kind of like that. So it's about, what if there's no alien base or alien colony on the moon, because they made it up and it's as an excuse not to go back there again because they haven't been there in the first place. Because in 1969, now it's 2016, well, if they have done that, probably nowadays we should be able to go to the moon, like for leisure or for a vacation or something like that. So this is my second theory.
I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Sometimes when we know something for certain, we can't do a thing, you know, like, well, we have to go along to get along. You know what, there are a number of ways, you know, it's all about forensic evidence. And they were talking about the missing 18 minutes period, and that 18 minutes, some said they made it up for the gun control. They're gonna knock the door, they're gonna go to your doorstep, and they're gonna get the gun. Well, don't take my word seriously, I'm just a psychopath. I belong to a mental health facility. What if there's another conspiracy theory? What if the Mac OS 10.11 El Capitan is specifically designed to retard all Macs? Because it's fully compatible with the 2007 iMacs and MacBook Pro 17-inch. How come? The first generation iPad has been announced and released in January 2010, but nowadays, well, it's pretty close to a paperweight because it's not It's not even close. It's not compatible with the Iris 9. Well, it is not even compatible with the Iris 7, let alone Iris 9. An example, hypothetically, I am a veteran criminal, and well, I've had the dreams to commit the perfect crime. I have successfully raped someone or so-called sexually assault. I've killed her. I have, of course, abducted her beforehand. And everything has been meticulously prepared. I left next to nothing at the crime scene. No blood spatter, no DNA sources, no shoes impression. I left nothing. No surveillance camera, no preponderance of evidence, no conclusive proof, definitive evidence, no smoking gun. I left nothing at the crime scene. No DNA, no fingerprint. But at the time I was surprisingly sloppy. It was very dark at the crime scene. Well, it was in such murky environment, so I inadvertently left my iPhone there. But I don't have to worry about anything. Well, there was no like fingerprints on that. The police can't use that iPhone to be an evidence. I mean, in the court, because when they take the phone to the Apple headquarters, Mr. Cook would say, well, we can't help you that way because it would end the privacy. Well, it's kind of like an overstatement, but this could happen to you. This could happen to anyone, okay? The reason has been polarized into two reasons: the brazen reason and the underlying actual reason. The brazen reason, well, is the end of the privacy, and he might accidentally make it susceptible to hackers, or if the guy created some sort of a backdoor key, then China might need it. He will refuse, then he will lose the market shares in China, and so on. So that's the brazen reason. But today, I'm going to give you an underlying reason why. I have a question. Do you know what a non-founder CEO fears the most? Of course, it's not about the phony sacrifice or the bogus story about the end of privacy. The only thing on this planet that a CEO fears the most is one word, and one word only: depose. Getting fired by the board, by an investor. That's the thing they fear the most. Because a company, with that size, at one point, now at the moment, Apple is no longer the world's most valuable brand anymore. The thing is, the company with that size, Tim Cook, the guy, can't afford to make one more mistake. So the thing is, if you are so stupid that you can make one master key without compromising the security or privacy of your customers, I don't think you are eligible or you are qualified to be a player, to be a competitor on the market anymore. Mr. Cook acknowledged that he could, but he wouldn't, because it was still unwarranted or something. Apple is going down, not gradually, but rapidly. You know what, like for instance, if the guy had a kid, and his kid was abducted, then raped and murdered and killed with like probably first-degree murder, you know, sexually assault, what would happen to his decision? You know, in a flash, the guy would have allowed that shit. I need the top engineer, the finest engineer. But because it wasn't his business, the phone has been inadvertently left as the crime scene. But the law enforcement, the government official can use the phone to testify in the courtroom. Because, you know what, like for instance, I am your lawyer and my viewers or the jury, you're my jurors, and well, without like conclusive proof or substantial evidence or like infinitive evidence, the jury won't buy it, and then, well, you can't put the man in jail. The guy said earlier that, well, it couldn't be done because with the IRS, well, since I released the IRS 8, you know, only the customer and shit like that, and then he subsequently acknowledged that, well, it could be done, but it wouldn't, and warrants and blah, 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 work, vaguely admitted that. You think about it, this is very serious. If it happened to you, not you, the perpetrator left nothing that you can trace to the perpetrator, to the suspect. No blood spatters, no nothing, no shoes impression, no DNA sources, nothing but a phone. And the phone is your only hope, but Apple denied to help you. They won't help you. They said, well, if we allow you, then China is going to ask you that key, you can't hand it. Well, if you allow that, it's going to be the end of privacy. If you're so stupid enough, if you can generate or make a master key without compromising it, you are not qualified ethically to be on the market anymore. You have to go out. You didn't care because it hadn't happened to you. Then you don't care. Am I right? For instance, like there are earthquakes in China, 100 million people die, and you don't give a shit, man. When we compare to, well, you got like brain cancer and something wrong with your stomach, because it hadn't happened to you. So that's the thing. There is always a way. Have you heard about the story of if you are the President of the United States, when you go somewhere, there must be someone follow you with a briefcase, and inside that particular briefcase, there is a tiny or compact size nuclear launch pad, and you are the President of the United States, and you are the only one who can use the key or use your, retina or fingerprint and shit like that to activate the nuclear launch pad and stuff like, well, probably. Well, if you do care about, it's about self-esteem, your bloody ego. It's about that. Well, the thing is, you can probably tighten the rule, make it even more rigorous. Here. The thing is, have you seen the Have you seen the iPhone 6 app, the Apple's proprietary ads? Bloody Surface Pro right here. I got the Microsoft Surface Pro with the kickstand and the keyboard cover here